Hi, welcome to National Geographic's Learning On-Demand module for National Geographic Science, Florida. Throughout this session today, our objectives are to share the resources available through the website, to help you navigate through those resources, and to highlight all of the key features available on myNGconnect.com. By now, you should have already received your username and password for myNGconnect.com. If not, please stop this video and check with your administrator to make sure that information can be provided to you. myNGconnect.com is actually divided into two sections, K2 and 3.5. For this video, we are looking at the K2 site. Across the top, you see the banner which holds your name, your district, and if you happen to teach any other levels of National Geographic Science, you'll see them in that drop-down menu. This is the home page, and on the home page you can actually see all of your resources divided into three distinct columns, and we'll look at each of these columns individually, beginning with the very first one as we take a look at the e-editions of myNGconnect.com Florida Science. We'll also take a look at the teaching tools that are available for you to use as a resource as you navigate through this website. Let's begin by taking a look at the e-editions. I'm going to click on this link that says Forces and Motion. This is one of the units established for grades K2. When I click the link, I see all of the resources available for me, the teacher, the Teacher's Edition, the Big Ideas book, the Become an Expert books. Everything that you see on this top row is supported as an e-edition. The Science Inquiry book, the Write About Big book, the Explore on Your Own titles, as well as the Science Methods and Process Skills Big books are available for you in a PDF format, meaning they are represented visually, but there is no audio support for those titles. So anything on this row and below will be PDF only, and those things on the top row have audio support. Let's go into the Big Ideas book. As we look at the Big Ideas book, there are several icons across the top. Students can toggle from one book to the other, they can highlight within their text, and this on-page glossary is always available for them. Students can view their books in a single page, a double page view, and they can also use this section of the page to move through the actual text and expand the text in size as well. Let's go ahead and enter the book Forces in Motion. This icon indicates this title could be read to students if pushed. We'll open it up and we'll push one of those momentarily. You see your big 3 idea questions, and one of them has a blue circle with a white plus sign. This is an interactive lesson that students can do, and it also has audio support.
Magnets attract certain metal objects. They can attract objects through air, liquid, and solids.
We use this arrow to advance. And it actually indicates that students should click on an object to see if the magnet will attract. That water bottle doesn't work, nor does that wooden spoon, neither that soda can. But that pen spoon did. Let's move on. In addition to the interactive, you also will find an icon for a video. At each unit, there is an opening video launch highlighting one of the National Geographic scientists and explorers. Here we see we're going to highlight the scientist Marianne Dyson.
Wherever you look, you can see forces pushing and pulling things to make them move.
There's
This
the
basketball
opportunity
player
for
pushes the
captions
ball
on
into
or
the
off.
air, and Earth's gravity pulls it back down. Scientists like Marianne Dyson study forces and movement or motion and use what they learn to do some amazing things.
Hi, I'm Marianne Dyson. I'm here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. As a child, I dreamed about exploring space. I soon learned that getting into space takes a lot of
Let's
force.
escape this now so that we can move
Better
on to
understand space travel.
I
I studied physics, which is a science that deals with forces and motion.
Just use the red X to exit out of the video whenever you choose to do so. Now that we've seen the video, let's go ahead and turn one page. When we turn one page in the student book, you'll notice the table of contents just exactly like what you have in your classroom. When online, these blue icons indicate audio support. Turning one more page, you'll also notice that your students can even highlight the text, as I mentioned earlier, by clicking on the highlighter, then dragging and clicking the area they'd like to highlight. When students log in, all of their highlights will remain there until they decide to take them away. You'll also notice your Sunshine State standards on the page as well. Turning one more page, we're going to be at the beginning of the first chapter of the unit Forces in Motion. Maybe I want to make sure my students understand the definition of the word force. I can use the on-page glossary, or students can use the on-page glossary to highlight definitions of any new vocabulary word used within the program appropriate to their grade levels. If I wanted to go ahead and jump to chapter 2, I could highlight, type in the page number that I know where I'm going, and hit enter on my keyboard, and I actually am able to just jump to that particular page. Remember, highlight, type in the page you need, and hit enter on your keyboard. Now that we've had a little time to explore the student edition, let's return to the home page of myNGconnect, and this time let's enter and go into the teacher's edition. The teacher edition features are very similar to that of the student. There is a go-to menu on the teacher site because of course you have a lot more pages than your students, and you could actually jump right to that particular section. You could change books if you wanted to change books, just as you would in the student book. You can increase or decrease the size of your page, use the single or double page highlight the pages. You can even write notes to yourself and use this to search. Just as you could in the student edition, you can use the blue arrow to turn a page, or you could even highlight the section and jump to a particular page. We are going to go to that Explore activity. That Explore activity is indicated on page 1T1E. But before we do that, let's turn one page and remind ourselves that we want to make sure to show the video to our students. So just like you might write a note in your teacher's edition, we are going to use the electronic sticky pad and make a note to remind us that we want to share this video and discuss this video with students. Now, we are going to jump to page T1E. When I type in that page and hit enter on my keyboard, it takes me to this first lesson that I'd like to cover. I see my standards, my program resources, what students are looking at in their science inquiry book, the notes for managing this investigation. And I also see all of the teaching support that I find in my Teacher's Edition as well. If I click the arrow one more time, not only do I see the end of the investigation, the rubric is here, just as it is in your printed TE, as well as a visual indicating to me, here's a page I might want to copy for my students to use in the classroom. As I close the Teacher's Edition, we'll return to the home page one more time, and next time we'll enter using those teaching tools. Still looking in the first column, let's now focus on those teaching tools that are available for you, the teacher. The very first thing that you see under the teaching tools are those unit resources. If you don't remember where to find something on myNGconnect.com, your unit resources is the place to go. It becomes your one-stop shop for all of your resources. You can find the video that you would use at the beginning of each unit. You can find your big idea cards, your song cards, your MP3s for the reading that goes along with each of your units. All of your resources can always be found right here in your unit resources for that particular unit. One thing that you may not be aware of is the Inquiry eHelp. With Inquiry eHelp, you have not only a script of what's to occur in that investigation, you also have the MP3 so that you can hear what happens. If I click on that Explore investigation that we were looking at a moment ago, I will find that I am able to download that script. That script is going to appear on my screen. Once I click download, the Inquiry eHelp verbiage is here for me to use. I recommend that teachers print these or at least save them to their desktop. Not only is the script available for you, but there is also an audio of that available for you as well. If you click on download that,
Inquiry eHelp, Forces and Motion, Explore activity, Investigate pushes and pulls. What happens if you push and pull objects? In this investigation, students will explore forces or pushes and pulls by rolling and pulling a ball and toy car up a board. To prepare in advance, make a board for each group out of wood, foam board, or cardboard.
So you could actually save the MP3 as well as the PDF in a file on your desktop so that you can access that whenever you want to. Again, it's found in your unit resources for each and every unit of instruction you are going to be teaching. And then you'll find additional resources that are available for you to use in the classroom as well. If I wanted to see the games that my students are playing, I could click on the student resources, and I, the teacher, can actually view those games that my students are looking at. And we'll go into more detail about the student site in a different video. So let's close out those student resources. And then we're actually going to finish up with the resource directory and return to the home page again. Another important resource found for you in the teaching tools will be this button that says Class Management. In the Class Management button, this is where you will find all of your class data across this top banner, but very importantly, this is also where you're going to find all of your students with their usernames as well as their passwords. So in case your students forget them, if you need to change them, you can do that through your class management. It also shows you all of the resources that students have been assigned or have been given subscriptions to through the user management console. You'll also see that you can create announcements for your students. When your students first log on to myNGconnect, you could have a general announcement there for them that all of them will be able to see. So I'm going to create a little welcome message here, and you'll notice the numbers that are leaving the screen because there is a limit to the number of characters you can use. But I am going to create this quick announcement, and then I will assign it to my entire class so that everyone in the class, when they log on to myNGconnect, this announcement will be right on their home page. So we're going to have a great year with National Geographic Science. I see the number of characters I still have remaining, and I'm ready to post this announcement. Whenever I'm ready to change the announcement, I can delete this particular announcement and create another one for my students. You also can enter your user management console from this home page, from this class management page, excuse me. When I clicked on Access User Management Console, it actually took me to my Management Console page. There is another entire video that will take you through all of the details necessary for you to roster new students, for you to access your reports and grading, and all of those additional resources available on the User Management Console. So you can check that video out whenever you have time. Let's close the page, return back to the home page, and this time take a look at the professional development site of myNGconnect for Florida Science. When clicking on the professional development button, you'll see this home page for professional development. It will actually house a lot of resources that you can use in the classroom. The author monographs, there's an observation tool, and even cooperative learning strategies. You also will have podcasts from the authors and monographs from the authors of National Geographic Science that you can use so that you understand exactly how and why this program was developed the way that it was. In addition to those podcasts and resources, there's one more important section. It's called the On-Demand Training Module. Because you are looking at this video right now, you are probably already aware of all of the other on-demand training modules that are available to you at any point in time so that you can learn even more about National Geographic Science just for Florida. Be sure when you are here that you highlight those that are specific to Florida, because in Florida there were some things done specifically for you. If you use an interactive whiteboard in your classroom, know that there are interactive whiteboard activities developed for you. If you use smart boards or Promethean boards, make sure you indicate that by choosing the correct one. I happen to have resources on my computer for Promethean. I find resources, interactive activities available for K&1, 2 and 3, as well as grades 4 and 5. All of you have used interactive whiteboard activities before, and these support the content from National Geographic Science and are updated regularly. If you don't have the software, feel free to download the software to your computers and you can project that from your computer screen. In addition to those interactive whiteboards, you've already seen announcements. You can also make individual assignments to your students. It's done the exact same way we did those announcements. If I want my students, for example, to listen to the selections from Forces in Motion, I can make that assignment, tell the students, or actually tell the system when I want this activity to begin, and when I'd like for this activity to end, and then I'm going to actually assign this task to the student I have in my classroom. I, of course, could assign it to all of the students by clicking that student box at the top. If I only have one student, I can just click that student. Add the student to the list by clicking the Add button, and now I see my student is there, and then save it. Now, what is it that I want my students to do? In this case, I know that I want my students to listen to the selection, and that sound bite is actually found in my unit resources. So I go to those unit resources, I click on Read with the MP3, and once it loads, I'll be able to add this to assignments. Now that it's loaded, click the blue button, and you see that assignment to read or listen is available for my students to do. So when my students log in, they will see that as a part of their assignments. Again, I can assign individual students who may be out long term, or I can make assignments to the entire class. All of these are available right here in your teaching tools. Let's move from the first column to the second column on myNGconnect.com. Let's begin by taking a look at how easy it is to build a lesson plan. There's a blue button that says Create New Lesson Plan. We are studying forces and motion, so let's create a lesson plan for forces and motion. I give it a name, I tell it when I'd like to start this lesson, and hit Next. There are two options here. We can either build a pre-made plan or build your own. If you know exactly what you want to do on which day, it might be better for you to build your own. In this case, we are going to use a pre-made because it will put everything that's available for the lesson in this lesson plan. I chose the standard plan, and that quickly my lesson has been created. The first week of instruction, and as I use this arrow to the right over here on the left side of the page, I can scroll through and see my instruction for the remaining parts of the week as well. Each of these boxes, if I click on one of them, there's even more information available for me. When I click on one of the blue highlights inside of one of the boxes, I'll find my standards. I'll also find the sections used with my teacher's edition, as well as many other resources that might be available to me. One thing that's important for you to note here, you can even print these and add them to your regular teacher's edition if necessary. You actually can use this Actions button on the right side of your screen, and you see that you can manage, you can add activities, you can print activities, as well as save those activities or lesson plans that you have created. Because it is your login, you'll be able to save as many lesson plans as you'd like to for as many units as you'd like to as well. Another resource available for you on the website is the presentation tool. And now that we've created a lesson plan, all of the materials necessary for this lesson will show up in my lesson plan. If I select the lesson plan, Forces in Motion, and tell it the day that I am started, any resource I have available on the first day, on the second day, on the third day, up to the last day, if there are resources available, they will appear at point of use in the presentation tool. I also have access to all of my unit videos, not just Forces in Motion, but all of them are automatically added to the presentation tool, and I of course can also access my Big Ideas book. For the teacher who wants to teach this program electronically, The presentation tool is a really nice place to do it. Let's close the presentation tool and take a look this time at our digital library. Because you are using National Geographic Florida Science, you have access to National Geographic's digital library. There are a couple of ways you can use this resource. If you just want to search for motion, you could type motion in the URL, and I see that we found over 50 items that deal with motion. And all of these are images or videos, if you see this little video camera, that are relative to motion. If I wanted to just sort by video clips, I could see all of the video clips that are available to me. And let me tell you, these are truly video clips, maybe anywhere from 5 to 10, 15 seconds. I could also search using the content forces in motion. When I use the content forces in motion, this time I found over 80 items available for me. And if I were to scroll through them, I'd see them all. Again, you see that one had a video icon. Click on it, and there's a little video clip that's available for me to use in the classroom. The digital library is a wonderful added asset for you and your students to use as a part of Florida National Geographic Science. The last thing I'm going to share with you in the center column has to do with assessments. Your assessment handbook is available here under Resources. Any of your assessments that you'd like to print, you have available right here. All you need to do is open up these arrows and you see the wealth of content that's available for you. We will create a video so that you know how to use the e-assessments that are available to those of you here in Florida. For now, though, I'm just sharing with you the resources that are available. In the very last column, the last two things that you see at the bottom of that column are National Geographic Kids and National Geographic Explorer links. These two links take you and your students outside of myNGconnect to these two sites specifically. I would encourage you to go to these sites so that you can see even more resources that are available for you and your students to use. We hope you've gotten a lot from this on-demand module of myNGconnect Florida Science. Throughout this session, I was able to share with you resources available through the website and help you navigate through those resources. If you don't remember how to get to some of those resources, use the left menu on your on-demand module screen and go back to that particular section so that you can view it again. And hopefully you also have seen some of the key features that are available on this website to you and to your students. We know that you are now ready to go out and start using these wonderful resources through myNGconnect.com. We encourage you not only to use the resources for yourself, but encourage your students to use those resources available to them. Anytime you need a refresher, feel free to come back to these on-demand modules and we will be right here waiting on you.